All right, so quiz number 6 review. We're just going to basically check to see if these lines are parallel or perpendicular. Okay, parallel or perpendicular. So if they're parallel, they're going to have the same slopes. If they're perpendicular, their slopes will be opposite reciprocals. Okay, so for the first one, part A, one of them I already know, like this one right here, is already solved for y. I know that my slope is half. Okay, so let me solve the second equation for y, and then we'll see what the slopes are for that one. So negative x plus 2y equals negative 6. So I'm going to add x over to this side. So I get 2y is equal to x minus 6. And then I'm going to divide everything by 2. Divide by 2. So I get y equals to half x minus 3. So the slope for this one is half. So are these parallel, perpendicular, neither? What are they? Parallel. These are parallel, right? The slopes are the same. So these are parallel lines. So it's not hard to do these problems. You just got to know what to look for, right? So parallel lines have the same slope. So they have the same slope. We're going to go ahead and do that. Right, parallel. So part B, chances are this is going to be perpendicular because I'd like to show you one of each, right? But we'll see. None of them are solved for us, so we are going to have to solve both of them. Okay, so let's start off with this top one here. I'll put it right here. So 4x plus y equals to 8. I'll subtract 4x. So y is equal to negative 4x plus 8. So I know my slope is negative 4. So if the other equation has a slope of negative 4, then these are parallel. If the other equation has a slope of what? They're perpendicular. What would it have to be? Opposite and reciprocal. So it should be 1 over 4, right? We're looking for 1 over 4. So let's see. Let's do the next one. And if it's not any one of those, then it's neither. All right. So I'm going to subtract the 2x over here. So I get negative 4y is equal to negative 2x minus 12. And then I'm going to divide everything by negative 4. So y is equal to 1 half x plus 3. So are those slopes opposite reciprocals? No. So this would be a neither. Okay? Oh, thank you. Positive. So that's going to be, it's not actually going to change the problem, thankfully, in a sense where it's still not parallel perpendicular, but the y-intercept does come out a little different from that. So thank you for that. Mark that down really quick. That way I can give you some extra credit. Are we okay with that? So this one's going to be neither, okay? Because they're not parallel, and unfortunately they're not perpendicular. All right, again, I'm looking for a slope of negative 4 and a 1/4. A 1/4 would have been perfect. That would have been perpendicular.
In the first question, why when you're dividing x by 2, where's the 1?
There's always a 1 right here. There's always a 1 there. If you don't see a number next to a letter, there's always a 1. Yeah. Any other questions on this one? Yeah, we just don't like to write it like, see how it says minus x plus 2y? Like, you really should write minus 1x, but it just looks odd. If it's not a 1, then we write it and it looks fine. But whenever it's a 1, it just looks kind of weird. So we tend to not put it on there. All right, here's another one. This one says write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form through that point and perpendicular to that equation. So write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form through the point -2, 4 and perpendicular to y equals to 1/4 x plus 5. All right, so again, they want an equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so y equals mx plus b. They say that it has to pass through a certain point, -2, 4, and perpendicular to y equals to 1/4 x plus 5. Well, if my slope for the new line has to be perpendicular, and this slope is 1/4, then if I flip it and change its sign, I get -4, right? So my slope is supposed to be a -4 for my new equation. Now, I know that the point they give me is my x and my y value, okay? I know that's going to be my x and y. I have my m, so if I use the slope-intercept form that they want me to write it in, y equals mx plus b, I should be able to figure out my y-intercept. That's what I need, right? My y-intercept. So y is 4, m is -4, x is -2, plus b. -4 times -2 is a +8. So 4 equals to 8 plus b. I'll move the 8 over. That's -4 equals to b. So now that I know that my b value is -4, I know that my m value is also -4, then I can write my equation, y equals mx plus b, but m is -4x minus 4. That's my b value. This is my equation. Remember, for these type of problems, you always got to find b, right? You always got to find b. Sometimes you need to solve for m if they give you 2 points only, but if they give you an equation, depending on what they want, if they want parallel, then the slope should be equal to the other one, so it should be 1/4. If they want perpendicular, then your slope has to be -4. Use the point they give us as your xy, plug it into your equation that they mention, slope-intercept form, right? They give you all the information you need, you just got to translate it properly. But you plug it into y equals to mx plus b, solve for b. Once you have b and m, then you plug it into the equation once you figured everything out. So that would be question number 2. And again, you have like 2 of these on your quiz. I don't remember how many of these. I think you have 2 of these. So you have 2 of these, and you have 2 of these. So that's 4 so far. I think that's correct. I think there's 4 graphing problems. So we're doing 2. One that's already solved for us, and one that is not solved for us. So we're going to have to solve one of them for y. So the first one is pretty easy. Okay, it's already solved for us. All I have to do is just basically get a coordinate plane and draw the line, right? And then shade in wherever I need to. So they didn't make us do too much work. For part B, I do have to solve for y first. And then once I do that, I can draw the line and shade it in. So let me go ahead and make a coordinate plane here. Try to make it big enough so it fits the actual line. So I made it a 5 by 5. And since it's already solved, I can basically do my 2 main dots, right? Remember, this was a 4-step problem. Number 1, solve for y. It's already done. Number 2, plot your y-intercept and your slope, right? So my y-intercept and my slope. So my y-intercept is what? -2. What's my slope? 5/2. So I got to go up 5 twice over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. twice over. Okay, and what kind of line is this going to be, solid or dashed? This is going to be a solid line, right? Because it says greater than or equal to. So here's that. And then shading above or below, it says y greater than or above, right? So I got to color this in, and then I'm done, right? So we're just going to color that part in as best we can. Obviously, it takes a little while, but and then you're done. Okay? Remember, the picture is your solution, so you don't have to write like y equals to this or y equals to that. It's just your picture. Now, for part B, there's a little bit more that I have to do. I got to solve for y. So I'm going to have to move the 3x over. So I get negative y greater than or equal to negative 3x plus 4. And then I have to divide by negative 1. So divide by negative 1 all the way throughout. So this kind of goes to what you were asking me, Corey, about like where's the 1 come from? There is, right? There is a 1 there. We just don't normally see it unless we have to show it, right? So there we go. We get y less than or equal to 3x minus 4. So I'm going to go ahead and make a coordinate plane for this one. I'm just drawing the tick marks out here. Your quiz will have them for you already, so you don't have to worry about it. So I'm supposed to start at my y-intercept. So my y-intercept will be a negative 4. So I'm going to negative 4. My slope is 3 over 1, so I have to go up and then up 3 times once to the right. So 1, 2, 3, once over. Okay? And then this line, well, I did make it less than or equal to, so the line has to be solid. If it was just a less than, it'd be dashed. Okay? But this is going to be a solid line as well. And I'm shading above or below? Below, right? So this is going to be under the graph. Remember, if you have a hard time figuring out where's above and below, pay attention to the y-axis, okay? Right now I'll tell you about it, but notice your y-intercept is negative 4, right? The numbers below negative 4 are smaller. They're less than, right? So pay attention to this stuff right here. That's what you look at. All these numbers right here are less than negative 4. So that's your below. Okay, all these numbers up here, these are all greater than negative 4. All of these are greater than negative 4. So that's why greater than would be coloring on that side. Okay, those are the greater ones. So there's your answer. Again, I noticed that I didn't do one that was just less than. But if I would have changed this equation to just a less than, then it would be dashed. Okay? So there is a difference between dashed and solid. Okay, this one is supposed to be an easy problem, but surprisingly, a lot of people were asking me questions on these, so let's make sure we go over them. You're just supposed to plug the point into that problem. That's it, and then work it out and see if it's true or false. If it's true, you say it's a solution. If it's false, you say it's not a solution. So I just want to know, is negative 2, 3 a solution to that equation? Y greater than 4x minus 2. So I know that negative 2 and 3 are my x and my y. So I'm just going to plug in my x and my y into the equation. So this is going to look like this. 3 is greater than 4 times negative 2 minus 2. Okay, so the 3 and the negative 2 were plugged into where my x and my y are. I'm going to go ahead and start working it out. 3 is greater than negative 8 minus 2. 3 is greater than negative 10. True or false? Check again. Is 3 bigger than negative 10? Yeah, it is true. So I'm just going to put this is a solution. I don't know if maybe you saw 3 greater than 10 by accident and you're like, yeah, that's not true. And that would be correct. If it was 3 greater than 10, that would be false. But these are supposed to be easy. You have 2 of these type of problems. You'll have 4 graphs in 2 of these. Okay, so that makes 10 problems so far. And then you're going to have 2 more, or maybe 1 more of these. No, it's 2 parts. So yeah, two questions. And that's coming up. Are we okay so far with questions 1 through 4? Because we're about to kind of switch gears. All right. I'm going to pause this so you guys can write this out. All right, so for question number 5, they gave us the height and weight, or they told us that the height and weight for adults can be modeled by this equation. So they're giving us an equation that models the weight that I should be if I tell you the height. Okay? They say x is the height and y is the weight. For part A, they say, what is the weight of a 6-foot tall man? So what is the weight of a 6-foot tall man? So am I solving for x or y? Which one am I trying to figure out? Y, right? So they want the weight, so I got to figure out y. So 6 feet tall represents the height. This is my x value. Oops, let me change that to red, sorry. This is my x value. I got to figure out y. So y is equal to 50 times 6 minus 130. Y is equal to 300 minus 130. So y is equal to, what is that, 170? So there you go. So there's the weight that a 6-foot tall man should be according to this formula. Okay? So the next part says, how tall is the man if they weigh 200 pounds? So what am I solving for when they say how tall is he? I'm trying to solve for x. X is height, right? Notice it says up there, x is height, y is weight. So I'm trying to figure out how tall. So I'm trying to figure out x if they give me 200 pounds as the weight. So that would be my y value. Okay? So now I'm going to plug that into my formula. 200 is equal to 50x minus 1/3. And now I just got to start solving for my x value. So I'm going to add 130. So that's 330 is equal to 50x. And then I'm going to have to divide by 50. So x is equal to, I know the zeros will cancel because that's the same as reducing by 10. So that's 33 over 5. 33 over 5, what is that? That's 6 3/5. And 3/5 is 0.6. So it's 6.6 feet is equal to x. That's how tall they are. Again, you guys can use your calculators, don't worry. I just didn't have mine out, so. Are we okay with these? So it's just like what you did in the homework, right? At the very end, they wanted you to find find y in one case, find x in the other case, right? So same thing here. You're just going to find that information and just give me the solutions once you get it. But these problems are not meant to be terribly difficult. Just Challenging, of course, but not terribly difficult.